I'm going to talk about getting your first dahlia tubers started, and it's now middle of March here in the UK, and if you remember the timeline I talked about on one of my videos about getting your timing right, and one of the options in there is to get dahlia tubers started earlier than normal time being the beginning of April. But you can, and I do, start some earlier than that, so long as you can protect them from frost and they have the right conditions to germinate, which is heat, and for the young plant to thrive, which is light. So if you've got those conditions, then you can steal 2 or 3 weeks on the development of your plant to get them started early, and that way they'll flower that much earlier for you. So I'm going to get some of my tubers onto heat now to get them started growing. These are my Cafe Au Laits, and we'll just have a, if you remember, this is how I store them. Plastic bag, damp newspaper, and keep an eye on them as time goes by, and you can put a little bit more dampness on the newspaper if needed. And let's just have a look at these now. It's the first time I've looked at them for a couple of weeks, and you can see, I don't know if the video will catch this, but we can see we've got some surface mould on some of these tubers. So that tuber is in fact rotten now. Just put my finger through it. So that's a rotten tuber. And we'll just get rid of that. But the other two are looking good. Possibly a little bit dry, you could say. This one appears to have dried out quite a lot. But the rest of them are looking pretty good, actually. Quite pleased with those. There's one dry one, 2 dry ones probably. I could leave those on when we plant it, won't do any harm. There's a little bit of this fluffy surface mould, which is not doing any harm in this case. More surface mould there, you can see the spores coming off. That's actually taken that tuber, so there's a rotten tuber. So I'll discard those. But I'm happy with the rest, that they're all okay. So what I'm going to do, these are Cafe Au Laits, which are very large dinner plate dahlias, and a real showstopper. We sell quite a few of these to usually to florists who are doing a wedding, because they're favoured by brides. So as far as how to get them started is concerned, you have 2 choices at this stage. You can put them straight into pots, and depending on the size, they will be usually a 3 litre or a 2 litre pot with good compost. We'll talk about how I mix my compost to get the best growing medium. Doesn't matter too much when you're getting them started, because really they have all the nutrition they need in the tuber, but they do need to be well drained so that they're not sat in very wet compost. So the 2 ways are to put them straight into your pots, or else the other way is to get them started in a tray. And I'm going to use the tray method here because imagine if you have 50 or so dahlias starting in pots, you're going to have to find somewhere to store those, somewhere to put them with the right facilities, with heat and light. And if you've got a massive greenhouse which is heated, then you're lucky, then you'll be able to pot your dahlia tubers straight into your pots, no problem at all. We haven't got the luxury of that amount of space for our dahlias, so what I'll do, I'll get them started in a tray, and that way we can, I'll use the smaller tubers, that way we can get 7 or 8 or so tubers started, and when they put shoots out, which will be in about 3 weeks, then we can get them out of the tray, roots and all, and plant them up into our pot. So that's what I'll be doing today. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some of these won't put shoots out, they just don't for one reason or another. 7, so I can get 7 of my Cafe Au Lait Dahlias started in this small tray. And that's what I'll do. So we'll go in the other room and get those planted up. So here we are, we're ready to get these Cafe Au Lait tubers into soil, onto heat, and to get them started. Compost, well, you can talk for ages, and I'll probably do a video talking about how to mix compost. It's very rare that you get a bag of compost and just use it as it is. We tend to have our own little formulas for the two things that you need to add to your compost. Is one is drainage, and I do that using vermiculite, and also structure, which means adding something like sand or coarse sand or grit to the mix. It doesn't matter too much for starting dahlias because the nutrition that the plant needs is in the tuber, and so long as the compost isn't wet, which risks rotting the tuber, then you have a fair amount of play, really. This is peat-free compost, and I've mixed in vermiculite and some horticultural grit and some coarse sand, actually. Show you the coarse sand. That's the coarse sand, which is sand and bits of grit in it. So vermiculite you're probably familiar with. That's this stuff, which is inert volcanic stone which has been blown up, so it's very lightweight. And that's enough. Obviously what we're after is for the shoots to start, and roots will form naturally. That's the first part of the process of waiting up, is roots will start to form, and then we'll get shoots. So the fact that the roots are in such a small depth doesn't really matter, because we're going to, once the shoot comes out and is maybe 1-2 inches tall, then we'll take the tuber out, roots and all, and pot it up into a 2 litre or a 3 litre pot. So I'm just sort of embedding these. Like a jigsaw, to matter of finding the right place for each of them. That's all they'll need. You just see the tips of the bodies of the tubers coming out. That's about the right level. Water. So we just put enough water in so that they're not wet and they're not dry. a matter of judgment, I suppose. And then you do not water it again. In fact, you don't water it again unless the surface might dry out perhaps and you just want to sprinkle a bit of water on. But in general, we're not going to water that again now until the shoots start to appear. And even then, fairly soon after the shoots appear, we're going to get them out and into a pot. So very little water will be required. I'm just going to label those up now. Cafe Au Lait, on the date today, which is the 11th of March. And I'm going to put a lid on it for moisture retention. I'm going to place it on the heat mat. So there we have it, our Cafe Au Lait Dahlia tuber early startups. On 20-degree mat. And I expect those to put shoots out within the next 3 weeks. So there we have it, our early starter tubers, Cafe Au Lait. Hope you enjoyed that video, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.